Welcome to the Bookworm Bindery with Cathy-Lynn. Today is a Finish It Friday, and I may have bitten off more than I can chew. So I played with this a little bit last week because last week I was finishing up making some of these really tiny journals, just one signature, and I decided I was going to make this into a small junk journal. The color is off a little bit here. This is not as blue. It's not as saturated as this looks. Hang on just a second. Maybe I can adjust that real quick. Okay. No idea if this had changed anything. Let me bring it up a little bit closer. It is showing this to be much more of a sea blue, where it is actually a very kind of pale, washed out blues with light greens in them. And you can see the blue to green ratio. It's just that it's not quite as intense as this picture is showing. This is definitely a little more faded. Like, not faded fabric, just a paler fabric. Okay, so here we go. Enough is enough because I have work to do. So what I did get last week done was I did get the papers put in. And now what I've done is I have actually started putting a few things in. I think I actually got a couple of these things done last week and then said, we'll finish it next week on Finish It Friday. So I do have a few things that have been put in. This is a nice little pocket. But then we get to where I've stopped, right? And now it's up time to start putting things in. So I put things in a few pages. I have more things sitting around, as you can see. And so we're going to work on getting these put in. This was a pretty tag. It had information about conifers, and then I stuck a fairy sticker on it, you know, because fairies like to live in forests. It is a tag shape, but I'm going to make it a side-loading pocket. So, what have you been up to? Are you finishing anything up? Do you have things in the works? Of course, we have things in the works, and hopefully we're finishing things up. Are you the type of person that just does one project at a time? I like the thought of that. It never works that way for me because I get this idea and then I'm like, ooh, I have to set things aside and I have to get started on this or that. So, yeah. Okay, so side-loading pocket. Oh, yes. So this had... It was off a digital. It was off a downloadable digital that I bought from somebody or got free. I'm not sure. And I'm going to put it across the seam here. And I'm going to make it into side-loading pockets as well. So the beauty of such things is if you want to use it as pocket, that's great. You can. If you don't want to, then you just have a really pretty picture. And that's nice too. If I just glued it down as a pretty picture, it would be lovely. But if I then wanted pockets, I wouldn't have them. Okay, so I'm gonna slip that in there. And then one side and the other. Now a lot of this, even something like this one, which I knew was going to be a pocket, I've just printed on basic printer paper because I didn't want this note or this little junk journal to get real thick and bulked out. I mean, it is going to get bulked out. It's going to get thick, but I didn't want it to be overly. A lot of times in junk journals, I make the pockets out of kind of a medium weight cardstock, so that they're strong enough to handle multiple things being tucked in. things being pulled in and out. So the difference here in my mind is that this is just small. Does not mean it won't still get a lot of foot traffic, as we might say. But because the whole journal is small, you're not going to have big tags and cards and things to tuck in. So that's where I'm going with that, I guess. Okay, so we have a tuck there, not a pocket, a side loading pocket here, a side loading pocket there. Then we have her. This one came out of printables that I got from Pam at the Paper Outpost, and she had some beautiful wood nymphs, and I just couldn't resist. I did have to kind of cut her out to make her fit on a page, and that's cool. Okay, I like her on this page, but I feel like the page itself needs a little definition because she is so intense. So we're going to start off with just inking the edges. It's kind of difficult to do. This particular paper is, you know, it's fairly strong, but it's also very lightweight. It is the packing paper that you get in Amazon boxes, and I just iron them out, and let's see if that does the trick. It's kind of ink up here. Iron them out, and then I cut them to paper size approximately. They're a little wider than a standard piece of paper, but I cut them to the length of a piece of just basic copy paper. Okay, that looks a little more interesting. Okay, that sounds good. Okay. Now, sorry, I'm gluing this off camera. I'm just going to glue her down. She's not going to be a pocket or a tuck. And if you feel like you really are missing out by not seeing me gluing this down, sorry, I'll come back into frame. Okay. She is here. Just barely in the lines. There we go. Okay. Then this was really cute paper. This was a printable as well, and I really, really liked this. So most of the paper was this, and then this was just up along the edge, and so I had to have that. And I did decide that I wanted a fairy here, and I decided that I really didn't want her there by herself because she looked like she was just added on. I mean, she is, but you know, I didn't want it to quite look like she was just plunked. So there we go. So these are stickers, and now I just have to get them unstickered from their paper back or their plastic backing, which sometimes just happens right off the bat, and sometimes you struggle. And so definitely the struggle is real. And then another time it just happens and you're like, that was not a big deal. I don't know what it is that your trouble is or other people complain about. Okay, here we go. Okay. So this is just going really close to the bottom edge. And I need something to burnish it down with. No loose edges to be lifted at a later time. Except that I was going to actually put her twig that she's standing in behind. But I guess I'm not now because I burnished it well. I mean, I didn't try to peel it back up, but it's just copy paper. No, it's a little heavier than copy paper, but I'm not gonna take the time or risk it's not going to come off. So I'm just gonna lay it carefully, carefully, carefully. See, after all the fol-de-rol of the first one, this one just came off quite nicely. Okay, that's good enough. It's not behind, but it's not a problem. Okay, so we're going to take this pretty piece of paper and we're going to put some stuff on it and turn it into a whole scene as she stands up on the bush to see if she can see who's ever up in here. Okay, so that's what I tucked in. And now I have all of these pages. I did get that one done. Just put a pretty little collage of things on it. So I've got all these to do. Now, a few of these, so here we are back to this paper again. I just turned, the paper was long. It was longer than what I needed here. So I left it long instead of cutting it off, folded it over, turned it into a pocket, inked the background so that it wouldn't be exactly plain. And then I have this center. I do have charms that I'm going to stick onto here. One's a flower, one's a fairy. I'll do that last. And then we have the second half of the signature. Now, here we are again with another pocket. And then another one here. Pretty plain paper on this side, but this was the edge, and I just thought it was so pretty. Very delicate. Okay, so now what's going to happen here is we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first half of 6 pages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move into the second half of the signature. And I don't know what I want to do on this. I may leave this one as is, but we're going to start working on the next sections. Now, I do have this really fun tab, so I do want to put that on one or another. I've got more of them. I could cut them out, but that was left over from the fairy project I've been working on. I've got a flip through for you. Let's see. Today is Friday the 13th, so happy Friday the 13th. For me, this tends to be a very good day, auspicious and all. It's not true for everybody, so I get it if that's not your thing. Let's start with this conifer tag. I'm going to glue it on here, and I'm going to make a side pocket coming out from over here, where I can put it over here. So this paper did have holes in. If I put that here, it's going to cover it nicely. And if I ink this with pink or blue or purple, it'll help blend in where that doesn't blend in. Here's the thing about that, and that is most of my most of my ink stuff is in another room right now where I'm getting ready to do a big project. Okay, let's do green. Okay, we have this guy, we have this guy. It's gonna go in here. I'm gonna do it right here because even if green gets on this, it's going to be covered. Okay, that's good enough. That's good enough. Yeah, okay. All right, we're putting you here. I do have a project I'm using some fern green for. I mean, not a project, this project. And I have some fern green, which I may want to use that for. May want to use a brush. I don't know. Okay. So side tucks or pockets, in this case it would be a pocket, that go inward, like I'm talking about doing with this one, will only allow you something that sticks out this far. If I put it over here, it could stick out a little farther, but it could fall out. So, questions. Okay. So now, I'm going to put this down and hope that my glue is not where that hole is. But it's okay. It'll work just fine. Nope, no glue. Okay, good. Okay, I'm going to put you on hold for just a second. I'll be right back. Okay, not bad at all. I bet I didn't make you wait much at all. Okay, now let's look at her. So she is just about the width of the paper, as you can see, but she does stick out. So the question is, when she's folded in half, does she stick out a lot more than the page? And the answer is a little bit more than the page. If this is shut down, will she stick out beyond? And the answer is yes. Okay, so I'm going to want to make her a little bit narrower. I am fine with having her here and having her folded in, but I don't want her to stick out. So when I look at this image, she's sort of been cut down a little bit. Do I want to cut down here? Or do I want to cut down there? And the question is a great question. And I don't have a good answer. Her feet are very close to this side. I think I'm going to take this from here. And really, I need to remove approximately 1/2 inch. So I'm going to start with less because nerves and all. Okay. There. That's good. Okay. I think I will ink her in green. So let me bring in my fern green archival ink. And let's just do a nice edge of border that says, look, I am complete. This is the way I've always been intended to be because I have a border. Good. I actually have 4 different pieces of fairy artwork that are large pieces like this. The plan is to put 2 in each half of the signature. I am going to glue her down, and I am going to glue her as a pocket, because no one is going to expect this to be a pocket. And it means that if you are stashing a note, a little piece of ephemera that you don't necessarily want to share with someone who might be looking at your journal, there would be a fairly good hidden space. Now, this is going to easily be something you could write on if you wrote in pencil that didn't, you know, bleed through to the picture side. But I am going to go ahead and just do a light coloration on it so that it isn't plain white. Okay, so this is glued or folded. It's been inked. And I'm going to glue this down. This fold is actually going to stick out. Yes, it is. It's going to stick out a little bit beyond this page. That actually, nicely enough, makes the hidden pocket a better hidden pocket. Okay, so as we are sitting here working, and I am looking at the time I've used thus far, we're at 20 minutes, 21 minutes, which tells me I'm not going to get this done today. So I guess what my finish is going to be today is I am finishing up with the thought that this would actually be something I can get done on a Finish It Friday. Which means, I suppose, I could have a Finish It Friday next Friday where I actually finish what I started today and didn't finish. Okay, let's see here. Open up. So here's my fold. And here is my pocket. It'll probably be obvious. Oh, it's crooked. It's actually the page that's crooked. Well, it doesn't matter. It's crooked. So I think what I'm going to do is go, huh, look at that. It's crooked. Junk journals in their finest hour. So I'll go ahead and ink the top part of this. That will tell whomever gets this that yes, I recognize the fact that the paper stood out. And now it's been inked. And now it's been inked. There's the story. Okay, so picture. Do we want to put a bright green on the other side of this one? Nope. I don't know why. But I think it's time for mushrooms. And what we can do here is we can put, and I'm obviously a pocket, so I reached here and got the wrong thing. I don't want a 1.5 inch circle. I want a corner rounder and a notch maker. Okay, so I'm going to come right approximately into the middle, right into the approximate middle, and make a notch. And then we'll turn it over and we'll round these two corners. And then we're going to ink this. Oh my goodness gracious. This is a sticker. Well, now I don't know what I should do with this. I guess I'm going to leave it, and I guess I'm going to glue this sticker down. It had a thickness to it, you know, like when I touched it, it was like, oh, this is a firm piece of paper. I should have turned it over and looked at it and said, no. Taking a bit of a blob of glue and spreading it. Okay, So there's that. And now I don't know what I want to do with this, but I do have some cool leftover fence wall, I guess. Just don't know if I want to put that on music paper. I do have a random word over here, just kind of off to the side, that says song. And I guess if I were to find it real quick, it would be appropriate to put on this page, but I don't see it, so I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, let's move away. Let's go here. This is a nice color choice. And she can stand on the other side of this little brick wall. Okay, let's do that. All right. So, just a quick disclaimer. I am likely to work on this between now and next Friday, because when I look at this and I think about it, I'm like, I'm probably not going to get it done next Friday either if I don't work towards getting it finished up. So I don't know how well you can see the detail on this, but this was a cutout figurine doll, paper doll, whatever you want to call it. And then this was a butterfly, and I just cut the wings and I put them behind her to make her into a, I don't know, a butterfly woman with fairy, a butterfly fairy woman. You know, I can tell you I either put in too much glue or not quite enough. And I have to lift edges and go back and add a little in. But here now, yep, we have plenty. There is plenty of glue. She is not going to be able to lift off this page. Okay, and I have no room for this one, unless I want to put it up here. Sure, why not? This is about using up bits and pieces, so let's use up bits and pieces. Okay, let's get those corners. Good. Okay, there we are. Lovely. Okay, so on the back of that we have some inventory accounting stuff, which we could just, oh, I'm gonna have to cut her down a fair amount to fit on something that small. All right. Well, I already cheated by skipping this page, so maybe what I need to do is go ahead and put a few of these on here. Something like this, and then find the word song and put it up here. Okay, I'm going to do that. Hang on just a sec. That took a little longer than it seems, but I do have it, so let me get her cut out. So when you cut little bits, and those little bits go everywhere, I like to have a small, like this dessert-sized paper plates, and do the cutting onto those, because then I can just lift it up and drop all my bits into the trash. And at some point my paper plate got removed. And so there's not one. And every time I sit down to cut little bits and pieces, I think, where's my paper plate? Okay, so I'm having her kneel at the top of each of these. Sorry, I'm talking with a piece of plastic in my mouth. Because these little things that are the backing they have static electricity to them. They go everywhere. Drive me nuts. Okay. Okay. I guess it's going there. It's close enough. I wanted her standing here and I wanted her standing on the D, and it is close enough. Okay. Now my word, which has a nice coloration on the background, so I'm not inking it. And now we have Fairy Song. Let's put that right up in here. Cool. Okay, so how many did we do? We did 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna run out of space. Did this one for 5. So that's approximately what I got done on the other side. I think 1 or 2 more. But I am gonna call it a day today. And I didn't finish it, so this is a didn't finish it Friday. So hopefully we can actually come back and I can get it finished next week. Thanks for popping in and sticking around. I'll show you really quick. I want to do this towards the end, but I do want to stencil some fairy things here. And I'm going to do something on the front, something on the back. And then to add just a little bit of texture, I want to use my glossy accents and do a little highlighting on whatever it is I'm stenciling here, which means that once that happens, this has to sit and dry for a day or 2 so that they don't get all squished out. So, okay, come back next Friday. We'll go from there. Make sure you hit the like, get that bell, so that you are notified of up and coming things, and I will have more content for you on this project next Friday when we will truly finish it Friday. Thank you. Have a good day. Have fun with your papers.